Hello and welcome back to Lansdowne Legends Part 2. And of course, this is where we get into it, Martin, don't we? We get stuck right into balls deep into Saipan, just as you like it.
Yeah, this was brilliant, Dave. I mean, we left it hanging from part one, which we hope everyone's
You are?
enjoyed, and you can go back and listen to that if you have just joined us on the show for part two. Do go back and listen to part one because it puts the context of it in definitely into place there. With Clinton Morrison's just joined the Ireland squad. He's there meeting this influential career like character Roy Keane, and he's off to World Cup with him, and we know what happens then. But it's brilliant. I mean, we asked the question, Dave, and then we didn't speak for another 12 minutes. The lads just bounced off each other, and it's well worth a listen because we know the Saipan story a little bit. We've heard different versions. This is the first time I think we've heard the three lads'
Yeah.
views on it, and so it's definitely worth a listen. And make sure that we are going to be listening and watching the coverage of this because we think it will do quite well. This show, hearing the lads' views. So if you are going to use the content of this, make sure you are crediting Lansdowne Raw and Lansdowne Road.
Absolutely. There's a bit where we just sit back and just let them talk. Because one thing, I listen to a lot of podcasts, I watch lot of these live shows, and sometimes it annoys me when the host just butts in too many times. And we were kind of sitting back thinking, I literally had the microphone with the clipboard, about to ask a question, and then I just kept putting it down again. Because wow, I haven't heard this bit before. Just so much stuff. Also, not just Saipan, also what the team got up to on their downtime. It's all in there. It's all in there. So we loved experiencing it there. The lads loved it as well. I remember got a big hug of Clinton Morrison. Of course, Martin had a great time with Ian Harte afterwards. And I did. I went up to Alan Kelly afterwards and said, Alan, start a show, mate. Brilliant. And what a lovely, lovely bunch of lads. Honest to God, fantastic. We really hope you enjoy it. We're very proud of it. It's our first ever live show. We'll hope to do more in 2025 with Lansdowne Roar. If you love it, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and please tell your friends. We're trying to grow the channel. We're trying to do more things like this. Anyway, this is Lansdowne Legends Part 2. We hope you enjoy it. Hello and welcome back to Part 2 of Lansdowne Legends. I'll have a good time, folks. Yeah. Big round of applause for our guest, please. Here we go. And for Martin, what are you wearing?
I'm just wearing one of our club scarves, Dave. So they're available as well by the shop if you want to get over there. £7. Tenner, I think, actually. Sorry, tenner. Sorry, Roisin, shouting at me. £10. 16 quid they are. The FAI launched them yesterday. Not these ones. These are better than the FAI's ones. So do support us and get our club scarves. There you go. Essential wear for the...
If we're doing plug-in, I'll do a plug then.
We need to get a video of you doing it, I think.
No, Jameson brought out a green tracksuit. It's amazing. I've got one at home. I'll put it on my socials tomorrow. You need to go and get them. No, I didn't speak. The boss is here in the corner, so go and see him. He'll give you 50% off, he said.
Clint, he also said that he gave you some whiskey for us.
Yeah, there's one there. I've just give you a bottle there. You can have that. And I've got 10 other bottles at home. 5 for you, 5 for Kels.
Brilliant. Fair play. Thank you again to Jameson.
Extra large.
Just coincidentally, I've got whiskey flasks over there if you want to get them. So it all ties in.
Hip flask.
Hit flask as well, haven't you?
I can't remember where we were, Dave.
There we go. One of those. Here. So just to continue on from part one, we've qualified for the World Cup. All's well.
Oh, man under pressure.
Oh, serious. It's getting serious now.
If you hear a phone ringing soon or vibrating there, Roy might be listening. We don't know. But.
So we've qualified for the World Cup. Of course, you guys have flown out to Saipan. I think you've flown to the Netherlands, and then you fly from Amsterdam out to Saipan, and apparently things aren't going as well on the plane. Now, you three guys were there. We get to Saipan, which none of us probably ever heard of unless you're a massive history buff, until obviously, what happened. So, Alan, tell us...
Why always the oldest first?
Well...
What about a youthful recollection of what happened?
Okay, go on.
Well, obviously you guys land in there, so just take it from the beginning. Like, what was it like when you guys got there first?
Look at these two. Well, I think Harte started it off in Holland when we had to get our connecting flight. Don't look at me like that, Ian. Do you remember is it Mario Rosenstock? Remember did he have a gift grub? He had people taking the mickey out of certain individuals in our squad, and you went over to Roy and said, "Do you mind if I play this about you?" No? Is it anything coming back to you?
His memory's not good.
Look, I've never seen his mouth so shut as that, by the way.
Allah's got a memory, but I think he's that never happened.
Ooh, that's a challenge, isn't it? I might not have played in the Champions League, but I've got a good memory.
Do you remember them 3 going by you?
Well, you running by me when Roy said you can go off. No, listen, we'd qualified for the World Cup. We're in the airport first at Dublin, and there was 2, 3, or 4 9-foot-tall leprechauns in suits, weren't they? And every time you walked past one of them whacked you on the back of the head. Obviously, Roy didn't take kindly to that, and neither should you. It was bedlam. It was a bit of chaos, really. But yes, we've landed in Saipan. Yes, with no footballs. Yes, with limited kit. And other than that, I think it went pretty well.
I mean, the point of it obviously was to acclimatise, to get used to the weather. Obviously, it's going to be in Korea and Japan, the humidity, all that kind of thing.
Playing volleyball with the press. We were actually playing volleyball with the press, believe it or not, and having a few drinks. So acclimatising.
I think you said acclimatise, and I think it was R&R, they said, because it's a long season. These lads have played a lot of football, and it was meant to be almost like a little bit of acclimatisation, but R&R, to have 5 or 6 days. Yes, a little bit of training, but ultimately just to say, right, listen, recharge a bit, take the steam out of your season, because in 7 days' time we're going into Nagata, where the facilities were absolutely top class. That's the context of what we're talking about.
When you guys arrive, like day one, and there's no balls, is that when it really starts to? Do you feel already the tension?
I was very happy.
I think we were all happy.
No shooting practice.
But like, what was it like? Did Roy kick off, or was
that wasn't Roy did, I think, an article with a journalist or whatever. Now, I love Roy and I love Mick. I have a lot of respect for the both of them, but it could have been handled a hell of a lot better. Obviously, we got all called into a meeting in a room, wasn't it? I think probably Mick should have, especially with Roy being the captain, he probably should have called them into his room, and the two of them should have had a chat and discussed it. I don't think we should have been in the meeting, but I think we were all sliding down the chairs like that when it was kicking off.
He lost it a few days before that, because he was right. The training pitches were bumpy. You could have rolled your ankles. I think Steve Finnan must have rolled his ankles. So Roy was already raging. It didn't help Harte. We trained and we had a good session and we wanted to play a game after. And Packy took the goalies out early enough. So we were going to have a 9v9, or when you have the short-sided games. And there was no goalie. I'm not swearing because it's a little... So he was raging. He ripped his top off and obviously was confronting Packy Bonner and going mad and losing it. And I'm like going toe-to-toe. I looked at the goalies. I was thinking, anyone going to say anything? And he was already raging there.
Who do you think said something?
Yeah, obviously you probably said something. Because
You know when you're thinking, don't.
No, I know, but he had lost it there.
And that was the day before.
Yeah.
Him and Mick's Big Barney. And as you say, Packy had taken us down trading, both myself, Shane and Dean Kiley, a good 45 minutes to an hour before everybody else. And it was 80% humidity, it was hot, and it absolutely worked us like no tomorrow. As the lad said, bit of R&R, we'd had a few drinks, so you work hard, you play hard, that type of thing, wasn't it? But then it came to the last bit of the session where the keepers... Anyway, it all kicked off with Packy and Roy, and then suddenly Roy comes over to the covered little stand we had, wasn't he? Now, I was of a maturity that my knees were hanging off, my elbows were hanging off, and everything. So I was covered in ice, but also dehydrated. And Roy came over and he started screaming, and I just said, "Listen, stop screaming. Just name names. If it's me, if it's Shay, if it's Dean, just tell us. Just have a go. Don't do it through somebody else." And Roy said, "Are you going to come down here and tell me to shut up?" And I went, and this might not have helped, right? But I went, "Do you know what you are?" He went, "You're going to tell me, aren't you?" I went, "Yeah." I went, "You're a big baby." You know, when you look back and you think, probably not, you know, in that heat of the moment. Anyway, cut a long story short, that was the day before. 9 o'clock that night, there's a knock on my door. I opened the door. The person who you'd least expect to see was Roy Keane. He sticks his hand out. He says, "Sorry about today." He said, "It wasn't you. It wasn't the keepers." He said, "It's me." And fair play, shook his hand, what have you. And then we went to the next door. And Ian, you were saying about the articles that we did with, I think, Paul Kimmage with the Times.
You know, like, so they're going to get to it. But before that, because...
I've just got to it.
No, but there's something before that, because that was at the dinner. It was the dinner that we was there.
That was the night after.
Yeah, but the night when it all went off with Mick, that was at the dinner, wasn't it? Yeah, so the day of that, before that goes off, I'm seeing Roy there, we're doing our own stuff. So I go and talk to him. These lot will tell you, I just used to annoy Roy. He probably thought he's so annoying. But even when he was at breakfast, he'd eat at dinner. Before his dinner, he'd have his like dessert. So I thought, if I have my dessert, will I be as good as Roy Keane? It didn't work, but it was worth a try. Do you know what I mean? But I'd always be the one winding him up, talking to him. So we were just sitting there talking, and I was saying, it's a great opportunity. You're at the World Cup. We were talking. He was in great spirits. It was a good 45 minutes where we were just talking about football, and then we go into there, and Harte's right. I think it could have been handled differently, because I think we have a fit Roy Keane. We go further in that tournament, don't we?
Well, it is. Obviously, it was a good opportunity for... It was a Mark Kinst that was in, Matty Holland.
Yeah.
But I think with Roy Keane in your team, and that's what... When it kicked off and all the lads kind of went off in groups, my room was about 2 rooms from Roy, so I knocked on his door and he went, "Harte, come in." I just said, "Roy, we're a group of younger lads." Now, there was obviously yourself, Stan, but I says, "We're a group of young lads. We've never been at a tournament like this before. We need your guidance. You're our captain, our leader." And he went, "Harte," he says, "I'm going to go home and walk the dog, but I appreciate coming to see me." And sure enough, he did.
The thing about that is that, as I said before, the context of the first part of the show this evening, and we said about looking at Roy and Mick there, that coming together probably 10 years before. We said in '92 in the US Cup. And if anybody remembers the Holland game at home, the 2-1 where Jason McAteer scores that iconic goal to defeat the Dutch, and the photograph of Roy walking off the end of the game, and Mick puts his hand out, and it's a reluctant handshake between. So there's obviously there's history there, isn't there? Then everything's happened within the training with the balls and the kit, flare-ups. But I used to sit. I was probably one of the ones that Roy talked to. We sat down, we'd have a conversation, we'd go for a walk on the beach, that type of thing. And if you read all the articles that come out of it, it says that in black and white. But I've got to say this about all this that's happened and what we're talking about. Who I feel sorry is for these two in particular. And because these were young international players, and everything was overshadowed by politics. Everything was overshadowed about the infighting. Everything was overshadowed about the hysteria that was happening, that had been generated because of a disagreement between a manager and a player. And I don't think they get enough credit. Harte, played every game, and the other 10 players, they don't get enough credit for the performances they put in. Cameroon, Stephen Reid coming on and hitting the bar. Germany, the 95th minute, Robbie Keane from a long kick from Shea Given and a flick on from Niall Quinn. Unbelievable scenes. And
what happened after the Germany game, Al?
I'll tell you what we did first, Artie. We all got in a line. And we were all arm in arm across the 18-yard box, and we were celebrating with the fans who paid good money to travel halfway around the world to support us. And that connection and that feeling, for me, was what it was about. One, I'd already been to a World Cup, but having felt that, and I wasn't even playing, but having felt that heart and that belief and that joy, and that's what football's about, joy. Do you know what I mean? It's about getting results. It's about celebrating with the fans, and the fact that we got through to the round of 16, 32, 16, whichever it was, I'm not great
16,
at maths. Yeah. And we should have beaten Spain. Everything to this day.
Cheers, Al.
Everything to this day.
It's not your fault, mate.
Having a dig at me, yeah?
Just one. But in all seriousness, we should have beat the Spanish that day with that team at 11 that were out on that pitch, right? And actually think about that, and think about what these younger players went through, dealing with all that. It was almost like a political parties involved. There was big businessmen involved. There was the transfer of the timeline, between Japan and Dublin. All this was going off. There was no mobile phones, by the way. We're all on landlines. So imagine dealing with that. One, you're playing in your first World Cup. Two, you're going up against world-class opposition. And three, you're dealing with all that turmoil behind you. And you've got your family asking you questions. You've got fans asking you questions. You've got all this. And I don't think that team that did what they did in that World Cup gets the plaudits that they deserve. And I'm going to give you them.
No, I agree. I literally do think, though, the whole situation could have been handled different. I've got utmost respect for both guys. I see Roy now. I work with Roy. Roy's an unbelievable talent. When I came into the squad, the way he used to train and kick lumps out of people, he always said, train how you play. And Roy would always train how you play. I respect Mick because Mick gave me my island opportunity as a very good manager. I think it could have been handled differently. I don't think Mick should confront Roy in front of everyone in the room. Because he's already a hothead anyway. So I'm sitting 2 away from him. They go toe to toe and they're going at it. And no one's not gonna back down. They're both big guys. And everyone, I'm looking in the room thinking, this is our best player, and he's gonna be leaving here. And I'm thinking, surely it can be handled differently. And literally, he walks out, taps because I'm sitting 2 away, taps Steve Finnan on the shoulder, says to the lads at the table, we're at the dinner table, because one thing we did, at the dinner table, after we've eaten, we always have a sing-song. So we were having a sing-song. Everyone was in great spirits. And he just goes, 2 days later, he's back in Manchester walking his dog in his horrendous Theodora tracksuit with no care in the world. And I'm like, that's our best player gone. The one thing it did do, as Kel said, we needed experienced players to stick around us, Quinny and that, and it galvanized us. And it was we did do well. Listen, we should beat Spain. The reason we don't beat Spain is because Mick don't bring me on. It's plain and simple.
Of course.
If he brings me on,
You're right about that as well.
we win the football match. But we got more stories for that anyway, because we did have a good time when we got knocked out, didn't we, Harty?
We certainly did.
What did we do? Well, what did me and Kels do on someone's limo?
Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah,
but
we warmed them up for that.
When we drew against Germany, we got back to the hotel, and I mean, we stayed in a place called Nagata, which was about half an hour outside of Tokyo, wasn't it? And the wives and girlfriends, and some of the lads had wives and girlfriends, they got
Name names.
got the flight across, and they were meant to stay in Tokyo, but the hotel they checked in wasn't the best. And anyway, there was a hotel
It was next to a brothel.
Was it?
It was, yeah.
How'd you know that? Oh.
I didn't know that.
Anyway,
Your dad told me.
Get back in. So, yeah, anyway, the wives and girlfriends ended up getting moved into the hotel literally about 300 yards down the road from ourselves, because the Italian team, they were meant to stay there, but they changed hotel. So we got to see the girls pretty much every day. There was an Irish festival going on outside the hotel. So we got back in the early hours of the morning to the hotel, and Mick says, I want everyone down in a bar. Wasn't it? And we literally fell to bed. I don't think, it was definitely that night my daughter was conceived. And then...
was that the husband or the boyfriend?
So then at 8 o'clock the next morning, we went to Disneyland Tokyo.
Oh, my gosh.
Clinton was holding hands with Al and his wife.
Yeah, that's a long story. Listen.
Whoa. I've just got one little bit.
No, you can tell that story. I don't care. I'm just going to tell you how it went. Yeah, we went to bed late. I got Matt Holland and listen, I'm young then, so I've just started, like, I'm not long been with my missus, so when she's not flying out, I don't have kids then. So I'm young by myself and stuff. So I'm just saying, I haven't got no family there. So fair play to all the other lads. They all stick with me and they're all together and they look after me. I've gone to bed and I just thought, it's a day off, let me have a lie-in. Got Matt Holland's kids banging the door like, oh, Clinton, what? Let me sleep. Oh, we're going to Disneyland. Well, there's no Disneyland there. There is. All right, I get change, I go. And then Kelsey's got his family, so he looks after me. We're going into Disney.
No, do you remember walking in, and you see the Magic Kingdom?
Yeah, you can tell the rest of that.
So walking in,
it's not for me.
See him walking by himself. So I says to my wife, Sarah, I said, we're going to have to adopt him. So I walked over to him and went, Clinton, do you want to come with us? And he took my hand and he went, that'd be great. But right, so we adopted him for a day. And Steve Staunton was with us as well. But he didn't
Don't tell the stories, please.
He didn't like the roller coasters.
No,
right?
you can tell them.
Right?
You can tell them.
So anyway, walking around, and I'm saying to my wife, Sarah, I said, Clinton's not happy. I said, he doesn't like those roller coasters. I said, look, there's a little ride there. You know the teacup ride? Has anybody been on a teacup ride? So I says to Steve Staunton, I went, Stan, just don't say anything. Just follow me. He went, where are we going? I went, we're going on here. He went, well, you can imagine what he said. Anyway, so for Clinton, we're all on the teacup ride going round, and he's going, oh, I like this. This is fantastic. Anyway,
it was good. I enjoyed it.
We had a great day, didn't we?
We had a late night. I don't want to be going on the roller coasters. And the one thing the lads will tell you, I don't like heights. So we're in, obviously, we're on the 18th floor. I do not use lifts. So every day, I'm walking up the stairs, 18 floors. Yeah, it's a thing. I kept it quiet. That's why you lot thought I was doing it for fitness. Shit scared of being in a lift. So I go up the stairs, and then we come down for training, and we have a hard session. I'm back up the stairs. I think lunch was on the second floor, back down up. And then the lads are like going for a walk. I said, hell no, I'm fucking blowing all them stairs. Sorry for my swearing, but yeah, it was crazy. But not a lot of people know that, because I roomed with Lee Carsley and then sometimes Kevin. I said to them, please don't tell anyone. Just say I'm doing it for fitness. But shit, I don't like lifts, mate.
So then we go back to the hotel at around about 6-7 o'clock, and Mick says, right, how was today? It was good. He says, there's a karaoke bar down the road. He says, I want all the lads, the wives, the girlfriends, all to go there. We're training tomorrow. Make sure you're on the training pitch. So, yeah, nuts.
Just had to get on with it. I mean, I remember many of you here at the World Cup in 2002. Yeah, I remember we actually blagged ourselves in. People might not be surprised to hear this about me. Blagged ourselves into the training session once, and we watched. I think it was the one when Clinton, you started showing us your.
Hey, how good was I at that?
Gaelic football skills.
I was the best at Gaelic football. I was in the wrong sport. The lads just taught me literally within 2 minutes. I was a professional. I was kicking it. I was all over the show. That trip, I learned so much there. As I said, it's the best. These lads that I had there, it was there was no egos, and we had superstars in that team. No egos, great togetherness. Taught me Gaelic football. At first, I thought Gaelic football was hurling. They said, no, hurling, you use a stick. So I eventually got to it, but couldn't play hurling. That's too physical, and you get too many whacks for that. But Gaelic football, I would have been a natural. Can I still do it now?
Yeah, you probably could. There was a London team as well. We'll get you in there. Alan, though, I do agree with you. Like, you know, Ibaraki, the night Robbie Keane got that amazing goal. I mean, when you see the footage of that, I don't know how he contorted his body into that position to even score. But, you know, I remember you lot all standing in front of us, and that was the moment even the fans, who some of them had been Roy, Mick, It was a big debate, but that was the night that we all kind of galvanised together again.
And what you said there is still to this day, Roy and Mick, and that's fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, that's what football's about. It's about opinions, and that's life. No problem with that. But that, as I think I alluded to before, that instant. I mean, when Robbie scores the goal, I think when you look at the TV, Mick Byrne runs off, you know, and they went to the corner. So were you in the stand? They went to the far left-hand corner. And I thought, I better join in. But as I say, I was like, in my late 30s, not moving, you know, I'd lost, you know, 10 yards of pace. And they all jumped on each other. And by the time I got there, they were getting up. There was no one to jump on. And if you see right at the end, you'll see a solo little forward roll, and that's me doing my own. Right? Well, you've got to enjoy yourself. We've been to Disneyland, and I thought I was Tigger. But anyway, that's another story. But just, I think, what encapsulated that moment was, I think, how the squad, the team, brought the fans and the country together to focus on football and to focus on the World Cup. And it cemented, I think, one of the most iconic goals in Irish football history from one of the most iconic players.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
You know what? It's a thing where you go there and you want to play, right? You do want to play. You're away for 6 weeks. So you want to get on the pitch and you are frustrated. And I'll be honest, there were games there I'm looking and I'm thinking, I could have made an impact there. And I do think the Spain game, I said it to him after in the bar, I said to Mick, you should have brought me on. And he said, yeah, I agree. I probably should have brought you on that game because I was confident. But the one thing I'll say is those two boys that were playing up front in that game, they were fantastic. Duffer and Keno. Because Duffer is obviously a left winger, but Kev was doing such a brilliant job that he had to stay there. But Duffer and Keno up front were brilliant. And then you'd always have Big Quinny that you'd bring on. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say those three players, I was better than them because they were better than me. So sometimes you have to sit back, be quiet, take your medicine and move on. But it was a great experience. But those two, fantastic.
Was it true during the Spain game? I know Spain were down to 10 men. Did you guys on the bench, did you know that they were down to 10 men?
But Spain? Did you? I don't even know now.
Time.
Good job you just
Extra
told me.
time.
Of course I knew.
Yeah, good one.
Well, did you?
No, I didn't
I
know.
tell you what,
you?
let's ask the player who was on the pitch, Harte. Did you know?
I was off the pitch by then. I got took off.
Yeah, but you can still count.
Oh, I honestly didn't know that. No,
No.
I didn't.
Yeah, they were down 10 men.
Wow.
And you know,
How long for?
Someone must know here. About 15 minutes extra time, yeah?
All right.
That's a collective no, then, isn't it?
There you go.
but we shouldn't even have gone that. Like with Spain's squad and team was unbelievable. Like when I say the squad of players that were playing that day were magnificent. And as I said, we took them right to the end. And I think if we go on and win that game, we can go. I'm not saying go all the way, but it was a great achievement. That was one of the best days of my footballing career, if not the footballing career. And I wasn't even on the pitch, but just the emotions and everything. And I still thought we'd go and win the penalties because I was confident in everyone that took the penalties. I know it's a lottery, but it's a great experience.
But I also think with Roy Keane in that team, I think he bullies the Spanish. He controls it.
Yeah, definitely.
But listen, I don't care what team in the world loses a player of that calibre, you're going to suffer. You know what I mean? That is the player that Roy Keane. I've always said the best players I played with the Irish team, and I've seen him centre half at Iceland at home, and he played in my debut as well. So that is not even in question. But it's still, you can't take away. I'm looking at the two lads, Matt Hall, and you look at Kintz as well. Oh my God. I just think you've got to take your hat off to those
course,
two.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're managing that comparison as well, aren't they? They're managing. You're not. Do you know what? It's like my old man. You're not as good as your dad. Yeah. You're not as good as Roy Keane. You know what I mean? They can only do the job they did, and I thought they were fantastic.
No, but yeah,
But I know what you're saying. Yeah,
you're
balance
spot on and Harty's spot on. When I go into that squad and I watch Roy Keane and he's training, there is levels. His levels are absolute jobs. Whether you love him or you hate him, the guy is a fantastic footballer. I'd say it now. I've played with a lot of top players. He's the best I've played. He set standards here, and he set them high for a reason. That is why he was so good. And listen, it did galvanise us, and we did go far. But with him in that team, he bullies that Spanish midfield.
Do you know what, Clinton? What a shame.
Exactly, that's what I always say.
I mean,
and you know what? He'll never say this.
Yeah.
I guarantee he regrets it.
Yeah.
I guarantee he regrets it. He'll never say it, but I guarantee he regrets it.
But what a shame for the country. What a shame for
Exactly.
the squad. What a shame for the opportunity to do something special that not happened since 1990. So yeah, it's, and again, but in it, the beautiful opinions. That's what it's about.
It also overshadows Mick in a sense as well, doesn't it? Like it's a shame for Mick. Because he's, leading this country to his World Cup, and then he's just always now associated with Mick and Roy, isn't he? No matter
It's the Mick and Roy story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mick has said in a subsequent interview, funnily enough, for Eamon Dunphy actually, he says that if we have Roy Keane from the qualifiers, that Roy Keane in that tournament, we're going to the semis. Because I think it was Brazil we would have played, and that Brazil team was phenomenal. But if we have that Roy Keane, who was on that plane, in that camp, fighting with everybody, we go out in the first round. Now that's what Mick McCarthy has said. What would you guys say to that?
Yeah, I'd agree. Listen, you have Roy Keane. I think Roy Keane
All day long.
pushes you that extra. He's levels. When you go in and you're training and you're playing with Roy Keane, he pushes you to another level. You raise your game because as Harty said, when you're in a rondo and he's firing balls into you, if you don't control it, he says, well, when I'm firing it into Dwight York and Andy Cole, they can control it. You shouldn't be here. So you have to raise your game. So he takes training to a whole different level. He sets standards and he gives everyone else a lift. That's like saying, who could I say who was Brazil's best then? Like their top player back then. That's like them losing one of their...
Socrates or Zico or
something. Them losing. And people can say I'm bonkers. I'm not bonkers because I've seen the man play. That's like losing their best player and basically saying, go and try and win the World Cup. And listen, that's not being disrespectful, like Kel says, to anybody other midfielder in there, because Matt Holland and Kintz were fantastic. But when you lose your best player, it is going to hurt the squad.
It's probably the Ireland team at a major tournaments actually played the best football throughout. Like, I think, and that is a shame. Obviously, that gets forgotten about. Like, I've gone back and watched it, and the football, like Shay Gibbons rolling out to the right back to Finnan or whoever, and we're playing out from the back. You know, and I know that was a bit of a debate under, you know, previous managers that we just had, but like we were doing that in that World Cup, and that all sort of gets forgotten about. It's probably the best footballing Ireland team that we've ever had in a major tournament.
And I think Harte was alluded before when he in '96, and we said before about when Mick took over, and bringing that change of style, bringing that change of personnel, allowing them to express themselves and play football. But what I would say to you is, there were such intelligent footballers that they picked the right option at the right time. If it was on to play and play out the back, fine. If it was on to go into Niall Quinn and get round him and get an opportunity, that's what they picked. They picked the best footballing option, which, you know, again, looking at that squad there in 2002 and being part of '94 as well, where you had unbelievable players in there, Paul McGrath, Ray Houghton, Andy Townsend, Kevin Moran, you can go on and on and on. But the football intelligence to find the right pass or the right option at the right time from that side, yes, would have absolutely been enhanced by Roy Keane's presence. But the fact is that that side still found a way to find a really good style of football that got results. And that's what football's about.
You can go through the whole squad. We've got 3 top quality goalkeepers. Don't worry about that. Pay me later. You've got at right back, we had Kells, Stephen Carr, Stephen Finnan. Good luck with the manager trying to pick those 3, because those 3 are the best that played in the Premier League. You got one of the best left backs, not just because he's sitting there, Harty.
Love it, Lynn.
Who can deliver. You see it though, with his free kicks. When we have a free kick, I say we're scoring here, because 9 times out of 10, he'll pull it on the money. I knew as a centre forward, make my runs. Centre backs, Kenny
I knew as well.
Gary Breen, Steve Staunton, Dunny. The list goes on and on. The squad was so fantastic. It was a joy to be part of it. And I didn't even care. I did care because I wanted to play, but did I really care deep down? No, I was just happy to make that 19 or 20 because I knew there was top players that were being left out there, and that's how good that squad of players is. That's why it pains me now when I see the Ireland team now not like struggling, not playing like how we were there, but it's different eras, and we will get back there one day, hopefully.
I mean, the irony is, after the World Cup, obviously, FIFA always do a technical report that turns out Ireland was actually, you were actually one of the fittest teams in the tournament. That was part of the technical
That was the training in Saipan.
No one ever mentions that, but it is true, because you look at all the goals, you know, second half, because our World Cup really began, and we will move it on, but our World Cup only began in the second half against Cameroon, because we weren't great in the first half, and then battered them in the second. The late goal against Germany, we kept going, they fell away. Even Spain, like, we tore them apart in extra time.
Do you remember when Stephen Reid came on, the first thing he did against Cameroon? Got a free kick about 140 yards away from the goal. And we were teammates at Blackburn, and we used to call him the Hammer. Anyway, I think it might have been Kintz that was thinking, no, give me the ball, I'm going to float a nice little ball into the far post. And Stephen Reid's first action in a World Cup, coming on as sub, puts the ball down and went, I'm going to hit this. And he stepped up, and don't remember, he smashed it, and the ball went left, right, and it hit the corner of the goalpost and the crossbar. And what an introduction that was.
He wasn't in the squad originally.
No.
He got called up because I think Mark Kennedy got injured. So Reedy ended up coming in, and Yeah, it's just. It's
But the
crazy.
belief to do that,
Yeah, definitely. But that's the.
talent to do that.
But that's because we're training with the best. Everyone makes everyone feel welcome in the squad. So.
Yeah, he scored in his debut. I think it was Russia, and he almost killed the goalkeeper. Like, just smashed the ball.
I'd have got out of the
and
way.
went over him.
Some said he did too many times.
So obviously, World Cup has come and gone, and
No, but we need to tell you, the World Cup's been and gone. We celebrate. We go out. So we're
This is a good story.
Yeah, we're disappointed. So we're out. We're out, and we go to I think we go to his apartment first. This guy's apartment. I think some of us go to an apartment. Yeah, so 4 or 5 of us go to an apartment. The ones who have
We'll start. Obviously, we got beat. Yeah.
Yeah, by Spain.
We
So
got
we're
beat by
gutted.
Spain. We're
Yeah.
all back in the hotel. We're
Yeah.
all, me personally, devastated. And who walks in? Michael Flatley with his wife. Was it his wife, Al?
Yeah, so it was his wife. Yeah.
Yeah.
His wife.
So Michael walks in and he's like, "Never mind, lads," and we're all like, "Bloody hell!" Come on, he says, "Believe it or not, there's an Irish bar down the road." So we're like, we already fucking know, because when we'd flown from Japan to Korea, we landed and it was Mick says, "Want everyone down the bar," and that's what always in the Irish football teams, you
There was a
on a
game on.
Wednesday,
There was a
you get in
game on,
on a
wasn't there?
Sunday, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a game on though, wasn't there? We were doing research.
We were doing research of Spain and South Africa, and we'd play the winners.
Yeah.
So anyway, one of the lads went, "You won't believe it." We're like, "What?" We're all in the Irish Umbro kit. There's an Irish bar down the road. And this is 4 days before we're due to play them. The lads are gone, say going to bed. So Al and Stan had to go on.
Mick said to me and Stan, "You two come and sit next to me, right at the front, right in front of the screen." And there was almost like cocktail tables all the way back through the bar. Anyway, so I'm thinking, there's not many lads sitting next to me and Stan.
The whistle started.
And then the whistle goes, this whistle started. And I knew straight away that was like opening up Tom, Dick and Harry escape chutes. They wanted to escape. Anyway, I looked behind me. There's 2 lads gone. Then I heard another 2 lads gone. Another 2 lads. Stan looks at me and went, "We've got one opportunity to get out of here." I went, "Mick, I'm bursting. I need to go to the toilet." I was gone. Stan gone. Anyway, you can carry on after that.
So yeah, we all ended up going down to the Irish bar in Korea. This before the game.
It was called Mulligan's.
Yeah, and there was a band on, wasn't there?
There was a bass player on and a synthesizer.
Yeah.
But there was a drum kit. And I'd always wanted to be a drummer. I'd never had a drum kit. I wanted to be a drummer. So I thought, there's no better opportunity in Korea, in Mulligan's. And so I got up, and the fellow obviously couldn't speak English. He's on the bass guitar, and I said, "Just follow me," like I was a pro. And I started playing Mustang Sally. Next minute, Kells, the other Kells, Ian's uncle, he gets up, and everybody's seen The Commitments. You know the film The Commitments? Yeah, Mick O'Doyle, when he gets on the microphone, what does he do with the microphone? He smacks it on his head. So he starts singing Mustang Sally, and he goes, "What?" The mesh on these mics, if they hit your skin, his forehead opened up like a waffle had smacked him in the face. There's blood coming down his nose like this. And the fellow on the bass is looking at me and going, "What the hell's going on?" I can't translate that into Japanese, so you'll have to bear with me, right? That's what I interpreted. So I'm playing away anyway. He starts smacking his head, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Right? And the blood's coming off. All the while, he's taking pictures. The Mulligan's fellow who's taking pictures, isn't he? Anyway, we had a good night, didn't we, Hart?
We had a good night in there, and then Stan, wasn't it? We had to carry Stan out of the pub.
Yeah, he turned his ankle.
So this is around about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and we're literally all walking up the road. Obviously, we got Stan out of the pub.
Tell him how we got him out.
We had to carry him out like a body. A load of us had to carry him out.
No, we carried him out as if he was a Viking, right? As if like in the Viking burial where they go, "Oh, oh," and we carried him down these steps, and we thought we better wake him up, so we put him in the gutter, and then the water woke him up, and then we went home, didn't we?
We were on the way home, and we saw Duffer literally stumbling up the road. So obviously getting back to the story, when Michael then came in at the end of it, the game, we're all devastated, and he says, let's go down to the Irish bar. We'd already been there before it. So then we go outside, and he had a black limousine at the front of the hotel. And there's two lads are doing Irish dancing on top of it. It was Gary Kelly and Clinton.
Yeah. Show us, come on.
I got a bad back. I started doing the old river dancing. It was brilliant, to be fair. He was good as gold, wasn't he? I thought, though, Kels, do not dent this limo, please. If it's dented, you can pay for it. You're on more money than me. So it was good. But no, it was a brilliant night. And that's how the squad was. It was brilliant. I didn't go out with them, by the way, because I was a youngster. I was scared that Mick was going to send me home. But these lot were too good, and they were more experienced.
So Mick pulled Stan the following day, and he says, Stan, I'm hearing you've got back in about 3 o'clock this morning. Stan had to think about it. He made 2 steps. He went, no, it was 5. So, yeah. And then we got the flight back to...
That's another ex-friend for you, Stan.
Well, we were all there, Al.
Yeah, listen, it was one of those, I think, also, you've got to understand, like, the mentality, and people can talk about it, but our camaraderie together, our togetherness and bond, and you know, when those things, you've got great stories that live with you for a lifetime, but they bond you together, don't they?
You know what? Kels isn't the hardest, but you know, it didn't even feel like international football. It felt like club football, and this would never happen in this day and age. What we did when you could go out during the week, like I just said to Harty earlier on, we were probably out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the game was Saturday, and that never happens. When you go on international duty, it's just everything serious. But the thing about that was, we always got results. Tell me how many games we went and lost. We turn up and we beat loads of teams, and even if we're losing 1-0, we'll bring Quinny on, he'll win a flick on, and Keno would put it in the bottom corner. Make it make sense.
And do you know where that all came from? Do you know where it all came from? From that man?
Yeah.
Jack Charlton. That's what it came from. And my first call up in February '93, got the taxi, got at the Forte Crest at the airport. He met me at the door, up the steps at the door with Mick Byrne. And he went, give your bag to Mick Byrne, go in, all the lads are having a pint. It's a Sunday night, all the lads are in Dublin having a pint. He went, and make sure you're not home before 1 o'clock. So you imagine your first game, you're being called up, and a game in my history, and you're thinking, has he just told me to stay out at least until 1 o'clock? But the way the thing is, a team that stayed together, that socialised together, that played together, that saw the tough times, the good times, stuck together. And it all came from Jack Charlton, that spirit. And I think that spirit of Jack transformed into you as fans as well. You know what I mean? You felt that togetherness, you felt that connection with the team. And if you have that connection, you can make decent players brilliant. You can make a team play far above their expectations. And it's overlooked, especially in this day of analysis and everything that goes with it, but that came from Jack Charlton.
So, obviously, after the World Cup, it goes a bit wrong with Mick. We have the European Championship qualifiers. We're actually first seeds for that, top seeds, funny enough. We lose to Russia, we lose to Switzerland home, Mick's gone. And then comes Brian Kerr. Now, I know at this stage, Alan, you've retired as a player.
Can I go now?
So, just got to ask, with Brian Kerr, obviously, there he is on the screen, a legend in Irish football. He won the under-16s, under-18s, European Championships months apart. He gets the top job. What was it like going from Mick to Brian Kerr?
Who, me?
Both of you.
I love BK. I call him BK. I love Brian Kerr. As soon as Brian Kerr came in, I became a regular. I played all the time with Robbie up front. I remember his first game. We played Scotland away. We beat them 2-0. I scored a left foot volley. I get man of the match. And he just said to me, you're going to be playing with Robbie up front. So for me, I still speak to him now. He's crazy. He does make me laugh with some of his comments, but I've got so much time for the man. So I have to give him. Most of my caps came through when Brian Kerr, I call him BK, but Brian Kerr, be more respectful, when he was the manager. With Mick, it was a lot of the times probably coming off the bench, but with him, and it is hard for him because he was coming in to fill in big shoes. But as I say, I've got a lot of time and respect for him because he most of my caps and starts came through Brian Kerr, and I scored a lot of goals. And he believed in me. I think when a manager comes in and says, you're going to be the main man with Robbie Keane, not main man, but play alongside Robbie, because Robbie's always the main man. I was happy, and he got the best out of me, so a lot of time for him. I don't know how hard he took to him.
Yeah, mine was a bit different.
Yeah, I thought.
I like Brian, he's a nice guy,
Yeah,
but Brian said to me at the time, Leeds, obviously, financially were in a bad way, they had to get lads off the wage bill. And I was out in Spain at the time on holiday, and my agent then says, how would you like to play in Spain next year? I went, I'd love that. Great opportunity, yeah. Says, like, what's the team? Levante. I went, who are they? Because obviously no one had ever heard them. But anyway, I flew up to Valencia, lovely part of the world, and then they train in a place called Buñol, which is where they have the tomato festival. So anyway, went back home, spoke to the wife, and she didn't want to move. So literally 2 weeks later, we're moving. But Brian said to me, he said, if you go to play in Spain, because obviously Barcelona, Real Madrid, they were on the telly, he says, I'm not going to get to see you. And Brian left me out of the squad for 1.5 years, which I wasn't happy. He called me into one game, and it was when my daughter was due to be born. I says, it was a friendly game. I said, Brian, I would always play for my country. I love playing for my country. And he says, so you're picking your family. I says, on this occasion, if it's a qualifier, 100% I'll be there. But it was a friendly game, and he left me out for 1.5 years. And then when he brought me back in, it was against Israel. I scored in that free kick right into the top corner.
Not again. Free kick top corner.
Wasn't against UL. And then we played, was it Faroe Islands or?
Scored a penalty.
What? I scored a penalty, so I scored in 2 games, yeah.
2-0 game, yeah.
Yeah. So I could have played a hell of a lot more times.
Yeah.
On that one where you scored a penalty, that was the Faroes trip, wasn't it?
Yes.
Where we couldn't fly back out.
That's right, yeah.
That was a great night, though.
That was brilliant. Yeah, that was amazing.
We were in a bar, wasn't it? There was all sheep on top of the hotel.
Yeah,
it was all
we went
glass
out.
roofs.
Yeah, it was a good.
And I think Roy actually came out that night as well.
He did come out because, I remember.
But that night it got a bit silly. We were literally ripping our tops off one another, weren't we?
Roy said to me, go on, Clinton. Stephen Elliott was in the squad, and he thought he was a bit of a dancer. So the lads were like, go and have a dance off. I said, I've got too much for you. And then Roy said, Clinton, go and take him off. I buried him on the stage, and the rest is history. But it's a good night. It was a good night, that was.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Brilliant night. I did think I was going to get knocked out from him in that game, though, Kels.
How did the sheep get on?
Because once it was a game, in the game, he played a pass. And then, obviously, I laid it back to him, but he lost the ball. So I'm like, well, you're human, you lost the ball. He's looked at me and gone mad. So I said, shut up, you idiot. I'm not having any of that. But obviously I've said shut up, and I can see his head just throbbing, and I was looking, and it's 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm looking, and I looked at Kev, and I was like, you might have to help me at halftime, because I think this guy's going to come and try and knock me out. So we've gone in at halftime, and I've looked, but I don't ever take my boots off, so I'm slowly but surely taking my boot off, and I've got it in my hand, and I'm thinking, I can't beat you, but if you throw a punch at me, it might have to come on top of your head. And I just pretended, and then he came over and he went, sorry, Clinton, I apologize. I was like, oh, thank God for that. Sorry, it was a bad pass from me as well, so just moved on. And then we went out and had a great night together, so that's what I'm saying, just things like that, but I did shit myself that night, I ain't gonna lie.
Why do you think it didn't work with Brian? Obviously, it was like that group had matured a bit. Obviously it was a very young team going to the World Cup. They'd matured. Roy had come back. And I think it was actually the game you mentioned, the Israel game, 2-0 up. I think Robbie goes off with collarbone. And then all of a sudden we're 2-2. He makes a tactical switch. It doesn't work. 2-2 half-time, and the goalkeeper, we all know the goalkeeper acts the bollocks in that, and it finishes 2-all.
In Israel,
that was the
home game.
The home game.
That was that home game.
You scored in the away game, didn't you? You got a lovely goal.
But we'll save that, because that was a great goal. But go on.
That was a lovely goal. But, actually, for that one first, we're 1-0 up, last minute, equaliser. They get a daisy cutter. We're 2-0 up at home. and all of a sudden it's 2-2. Was that the moment maybe for Brian where the players may have said, this isn't working, or, you know, you guys were there, I wasn't?
To be honest, when you're 2-0 up, you should be winning the game of football. So you can only blame ourselves, because we were the 11 that were on the pitch, so we should have seen it out. So there's no one else to blame but ourselves.
Nah, he's right. We got 2-0 up, even when we're 1-0 up and we concede so late. We got to be able to see out the game better than that. So you can't blame the manager. I think managers get criticised too much. It's us. Yeah, sometimes they don't set us up right and don't play the right players that they should be. But he played the right players that he thought were the best. We're 2-0 up. It's down to us as individuals. And that's not just the defenders. It's from the defending starts from the front. That's collectively as a team. We shouldn't be conceding 2 goals. So it's just one of those things. I won't have anyone say a bad word about him. So regardless if some people might have said he wasn't up to it, but me personally, as I said, I can only judge a manager how he was with me, and for me, he was brilliant.
I've got a history of 2-0, being 2-0 up in the 90th minute and drawing 2-2. First one was at Sheffield United at Wolves. Was brother-in-law Jamie on the front row, Sheffield United player at the time. And just before, we've got some lads we work with, Alan Byrne, a doctor at Rhode Island for 200 games, Brian McCarthy, analyst for 200 games, and David Steele, who's the current chef who fed us 3. So he's been there longer than time itself.
No, those 3 at the back are legends. Like
So are you, Jamie.
Yeah, they're all legends, and Jamie.
But listen, the 2-0 I'm on about. And it's funny, isn't it? You're 2-0 up, and they had people like Don Goodman, who you work with, Clinton. He comes through. I give the penalty away, so it's 2-1 in the 93rd minute. Next minute, the pressure's coming on. You can't seem to stem the flow. Jesus Christ, is someone trying to get me drunk or what? The cross comes in. Neil Emblem was a centre midfield, and he's headed this ball. And it sailed over my hand. I think, I've got this. Went over my finger, hit the underside of the crossbar and went in. And I thought, it's about 1998 this, and I thought, I'm finished. I should be saving that. There's something wrong with me. I walked in, hold my hand up and said, my mistake, lads. I've cost us 3 points there. The end of this season, I'm down in Solihull at my wife's aunt's, and it came on Midlands TV. The FA have concluded their investigation into the size of the goals at Wolverhampton Wanderers. The goal to the left was 4 inches higher than regulation. But there's nothing we can do about it. Anyway, my manager was Howard Kendall. So I rings Howard and went, Howard, I'm not retiring. I'm all right. No, but I said to him, I've got an extra 4 inches. He went, Jesus, well played, son. I went, no, not down there. I meant up here. So it's one of those things, though, when a result like that happens, when you're 2-0 up and that goal goes in for the opposition, nerves, anxiety, feeling from the stadium, it almost like feeds itself onto the pitch. And you can almost say that it's going to be another goal to the opposition, can't you? Yeah. We've all been on a pitch where we can all see it happening, but there's nothing we can do about it.
Obviously, you know, after that, Steve Staunton comes in as manager. How did you guys feel about that? I mean, that was really out of left field, wasn't it? You know, we'd gone from Mick, Brian Kerr, obviously had the fallout with John Delaney, did renew his contract. And now Steve Staunton comes in, and Bobby Robson is obviously the mentor. And, you know, Bobby, bless him, wasn't well at the time. What did you guys make of that? You know, former teammate, now he's the manager.
I'd be interested in what these thought about it.
Sir Bobby was a ledge. I would always speak to Sir Bobby. He was just a legend of a guy. I would just sit there and have conversations with him. He was brilliant. Stan... Listen, I played with Stan when I was at Palace when I was a youngster, and he was coming to the end of his career. For a long time, I didn't like Stan because Stan said to me, basically, I'm just going to give some youngsters an opportunity, strikers, and then you'll be back in the squad. And in the end, I didn't get back in the squad, and it kind of carried on to Trapattoni as well. So I have regrets in football, and that is a big regret. And I didn't like Stan for a few years after that, because when you finish football and you feel like, if he'd just been honest and said to me, you're not going to get in, I respected it. But when he said he was putting in other players to see what they were like, and if they'd gone in there and been scoring goals for fun, I would have held my hand up and said, but at the time, I didn't like it. He could have just been honest. But now, when you look back at it, you get over it, because, as I said, I played with him when I was a youngster. He helped me a lot when I was at Crystal Palace, and he was an experienced guy when I was coming through for Ireland. But I just thought, at that precise time, I was hurting. I'm not gonna lie. That was my international career finished. And as I said earlier, I loved playing for Ireland. So yeah, I lost my head a few times and probably said stuff about Stan which I shouldn't have said when I was at home to my family. But I see him now. I shake my hand. I give him a big hug, and we move on, because that just happens in football. He probably thought at that time that was the right decision. He's the manager. I have to respect the manager. As a player, I didn't think it was the right thing, but players have gone up, came in and did well. It was the likes of Shane Long coming, and he's done well, to be fair, and had a good Irish career. So I can't moan at Stan, but at the time, I was really hurting.
That was at the 5-2 in Cyprus.
Yeah, but we lose 5-2. I'm not playing at the back. I get the blame for it. So it's the last time I ever played. So I lost my... And listen, there was some top players there, but Kells weren't in goal that time. So if Kells was in goal, we would have won the game.
I was a coach.
He was in goal.
Paddy Kenny.
Oh, yeah, he was Paddy. I thought it was you. I was going to have a bit of banter.
Thanks very much.
I knew it weren't you. We spoke earlier. But, yeah, I think a few of us got made the scapegoat, and that was it. That was the last time I played. So I don't want to talk about it anymore. I get emotional. You can speak high.
Well, I'd like to, obviously, because Stan gave me my opportunity to get into the men's senior international side. So he made me the international goalkeeping coach, and I went on to have, do that job for 97 internationals. As I said to you before, you've got to start somewhere. I think the period, listen, in every decade, in every year of life, I remember being left out of the side at Blackburn that cost me the opportunity of playing in the World Cup in 2002, because I'd started the first 3 World Cup qualifiers, so I know they hurt exactly what you're feeling. But on the other side, you're given the opportunity by someone who gives you that belief, who gives you that first step on the coaching ladder. And I wouldn't have had a 20-year coaching career if it wasn't for being given that opportunity. So I have a lot to be thankful to him for. And I think he was given a hard time by the press, which I think if you look at it now, yes, results at 5-2, and you'll accept that. But from a young manager, his last 12 games, we only lost 1, and I think, managers these days would be happy with that type of record.
I mean, obviously you've been in the Jack squads, the mixed squads, where the press loved the Ireland team, and then all of a sudden, you must find yourself in an alternative universe where all of a sudden there's, after the game in Cyprus, there's I think there's
the turnip.
The
Muppet.
Oh, the Muppets.
Oh, the Muppet, yeah.
And there was also a thing that this picture of the squad saying, wanted for crimes against football and all this.
It was absolutely bang out of order. It was bang out of order. It really was. I mean, we started off against Sweden, and we won that game 3-0, and then the Dutch side again arrived at Lansdowne and just put on the best display of football you'd ever like to see. But Stan himself will say to you, in terms of some of the key results, so he's talking about Cyprus, who went on actually to be a good side, so right time, right place. But what I'll say is I still think the hysteria around it was out of order, in my opinion, and it will never change, because anybody shouldn't be subject to that vilification that Stan got, and it was bang out of order for somebody who had given his life and soul to the Irish Republic, and, the first person to be captain. It sounds like I'm banging the drum for him, but I'm not. I'm just putting it in a context of being 40 years in football now and thinking nobody deserved that, and especially Stan.
Yeah, we do. Like, definitely Stan's a good lad. We've had him in contact with the club and stuff before and stuff. Yeah, we kind of overshadowed a little bit of his career, didn't it? That it's management and stuff.
Well, we said about Roy Keane before, about the Roy and the 2002, how situations and flare-ups can cloud someone's career. Stan's never really got back into football after that. We're still talking 22 years later about Roy Keane and Mick McCarthy. You know what I mean? Whereas there's a lot to celebrate in between and because of that as well.
He's one hell of a player, though.
Oh.
Whatever you want to say about managing, him as left foot is a wand, and you don't get that much caps if you're not a top player. So, yeah, I think the criticism was really harsh, but that's happened. You know what the media like. They like to twist a lot of things and, make you the scapegoat. But, nah, he was a fantastic footballer, that's for sure.
So when when Stan goes, we get Trapattoni in.
Start winning trophies.
Me and Clint are going to fall out here.
We win a trophy, don't we? Yeah.
Trap didn't know I was Irish. I remember being away with, obviously, at Reading at that time. Shane Long was there, and I says, Longy, when you're over with the Irish team, have a chat with the manager and ask him, like, what do I need to do? So Shane went over and says, Trap, he says, what about Ian Harte? He went, he's Irish? Which is like, so, no, I never got called in.
I don't think any. Well, definitely. This hurt me because I'm still scoring goals. I look at it and I look at the strikers that were in the squad then, and I'm thinking to myself, if I'm outscoring you at the moment at my club level, and surely I can get an opportunity. But I don't think he thought I played for Ireland. I think he think I lost my passport. So it's one of those things. It happens. As I said, I don't. You could sit back here, and now I'm a bigger person now. At the time, you're hurting, but when you sit back here, I say, hold my hand up, because I've had the international career that many would have dreamed of, and so it's one of those things. You just got to move on. You can't hold grudges with a manager, because he did well for Ireland as well, so you can't really knock him.
No. And you were on the coaching team there as well. What was he like?
It's one of the best managers I've ever worked for. And actually, your chairman worked for him as well, Liam Brady. So there was Giovanni Trapattoni, Marco Tardelli, Liam Brady, and me. Exactly, you're not wrong. Well, my first meeting with him was in Portugal in 2008 when we went for a training break, and we sat down, and this waiter appeared with this beautiful lace cloth, laid it out over the table in like a matador would do. And 4 glasses appeared on the table and a bottle of red. And he poured a glass and he goes, Alan, he says, Italiano. So I thought, I've done a bit of research. So I went, non parlo italiano molto bene. Parlo inglese? He went, good.
What did you just say there?
I do not speak Italian very well. Do you speak English?
Fair play.
He said, any more? I went, 2 gelate, por favor. He went, 2 ice creams. Poured the wine, I was in. That was me cementing my place. But Liam was brilliant. Liam was brilliant at that time. And but the intensity of Trap when he went into, particularly 2 days before a game, the match preparation. And Brian McCarthy's here, who was the chief analyst at the time and for a long time and did brilliant work. There would be me, Liam, Brian, Giovanni, and Marco Tardelli in a room discussing who we're going to play against, how we're going to combat playing against Germany, how we're going to play against the other teams as well. And a mark of his preparation and a mark of his ability for me to formulate results, we went unbeaten away from home for nearly 5 years. That is some feat in football, never mind in world football. And yes, it will divide opinion in terms of how you want to play or whatever, but the way that he, trusted, particularly myself and Brian, because we worked really closely with him. But I've got to tell you this, one of the best stories for me, there was a B International at Dalymount, and myself and Marco Tardelli were walking across the pitch at Dalymount, and one of the players was next to us as we were walking before the game, and walking along, we're chatting away, and Marco's having a chat with me, and the players listening, and the player said to him, Marco, did you play? And my face just dropped. I went, for those of you who don't know, Marco Tardelli scored one of the most iconic goals in a World Cup final that you're ever likely to see. You remember the celebration. And I went, oh my. He went, and to be fair to him, he said to the lad, he went, yeah, I played a little. He went, where did you play? He went, midfield, attacking midfield. He went, did you score any goals?
Who was the player, Al?
What?
Who was the player?
I think it was Keith Andrews. I could be wrong about that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. But anyway, but I'm going, he just said, what? And he went, yes, maybe I score 1 or 2 important goals. Anyway, and then he walked off. And I turned to Keith, or somebody who looked like Keith, that wasn't Keith, and said, do you know that goal is on about? It was the World Cup final.
That's a mic drop.
Yeah, it was just bang, like that. But to his credit, he still picked him. I think that's a round of applause if I've heard the honest, yes. It's a good story.
And we did win the trophy as well, of course, and as a coach.
Yeah, the Carling Cup.
Trophy.
Yeah, Carling Cup, brilliant.
Number 17.
There he is, Dicko.
There he is, Dicko.
Listen, the lads were on about before about teams, about players. This staff we had here, and include Alan Byrne, include Dave Steele, Brian McCarthy, and all the lads. The backroom team, and you'll back me up on this, were exceptional.
Mick Bourne, then you had
Mick Byrne, but they were the unsung heroes. They were the people who put an arm around the shoulder of a player, who listened, who provided, who understood what was required to get results at international level. You were on about before about Roy, about challenging each other. Every day at breakfast, we would have a meeting and challenge each other. How can we do this better? How can we do that better? It was a remarkable time. And I've been in football 40 years, but that is one of the best backroom staff and people I've ever worked with. And there's a mark of that, is you stay friends to this day.
And he's the class clown.
Brilliant.
He's always been like that, hasn't he?
But how everybody dovetails together. And the thing about that is, and I go back to Jack about that spirit and that togetherness and that, cohesiveness together you've got. If you don't have that, you don't win. You don't succeed. You don't get to championships. And the unsung heroes, a lot of the time, are the people who provide the services that go unseen behind the scenes. And I thank the 3 lads there with every ounce of my heart for what they did for Ireland.
I think it's actually amazing to see Dick Redmond there as, Superman. But I love the story, and it's a serious story as well, like Dr. Alan Byrne, like basically saved Shane Duffy's life that day. That's incredible. I've heard it on another podcast. There are other podcasts.
Well, we called him, I nicknamed him the Saviour, because what he did there was out of this world. It was celestial, because Shane was dying.
Yeah.
And only for Alan Byrne, he would not be here today, and he'll recognise that. And is single-handedly one of the most important parts or details or instances that I've ever seen on a football pitch. And fair play to Alan, and that is brilliant.
The doc is brilliant. He is brilliant. I would tell him to come up here, but he's had too much.
He might sing you a song later on. He might sing you a song.
But he's brilliant, the doc.
Right, lads, we're going to wrap it up there. It's been brilliant. Fantastic. Round of applause there, folks. Some fantastic stories. Thank you so much for coming on. Martin, thank you. And a big thank you to Jemison and everyone here at the London Irish Centre.
You know what I'd say as well? I'll be honest, I've done a few of these, and I'll be honest, sometimes you can have people that have a drink and they don't pay attention. But fair play to everyone in there, because the only time you lot were not listening is when you go toilet, and everyone has to go toilet. But other than that, fair play to yourself, so I'll give you a round of applause. Brilliant.
Well, that was Lansdowne Legends Part 2. Martin, I mean, fantastic stuff there I'd never heard before. But also, what an incredible weekend that was. And I know we got battered by England a couple of days later, but it was brilliant, wasn't it? You're still recovering from it, aren't you?
I am still recovering from it. I mean, it was like a stag do. That's why I've kind of put it in my life now. And looking back at it, really proud of our whole, the weekend that we done in the Cladder Ring, and the Irish Centre Festival kicked it off. But you're not forgetting as well that many of us had been over in Dublin for the game just before England. So, it was a hell of a weekend. And this was, I'll be honest, this was a highlight for me. This being on stage with, 3 lads who I've been to the World Cup and seen in action and followed their careers. And, now I'll be honest, I know it sounds cliched and everything, but they're friends now. They've stayed in contact with us. They're very proud of getting their views out there, and very proud of actually being part of the show. I think they probably were a little bit worried at one stage, was it all going to work? And again, we are planning to do shows in 2025, and they are live shows. So we do need an audience there, and I think you'll capture that. What's nicely captured there is you could hear from the reaction of the fans in the audience there, how much they appreciate these 3 Lansdowne legends coming down and hearing these stories, which is incredible. So
absolutely.
It really made the night.
And a massive thank you, by the way, to the London Irish Centre in Camden. That's professional, just unbelievable. They were so good to us. Bobby down there as well, the manager. They do phenomenal work. Absolutely brilliant. They were amazing to us. They couldn't have been any more helpful. It was brilliant. It was a great night. 3 wonderful lads. And yeah, we had a brilliant time. And to me personally, this was a highlight of, I don't want to say career, but you know what I mean? Like, really just amazing. Just could have sat there for hours. Well, we did really, didn't we, actually?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they loved it. Clinton gave me a big hug afterwards. I think we surprised them a little bit, you know, how professional it was, I'd like to think. But yeah, we just let him talk. You know, we just let him talk. Anyway, thank you guys for an amazing 2024. Happy 2025. It's been a wonderful year for the podcast. Not so much for Irish football, but we're hoping for a better year in 2025 for the boys in green, and an even bigger, better year for the podcast in 2025. It's been a great year. We have you guys to thank for that. The Roar faithful, you have been amazing. You followed us all over the place. We've broadcast from Portugal, from the Northern Lights, honored Northern Lights in Finland, from London, just down the road from, well, Martin and I are, and Dublin, of course, and Athens, which I'm going back to again next year. But anyway, I can't get away from the place. But you guys have followed us. We've had record numbers. We've had record views. And we're going to be even bigger and better next year, Martin, aren't we? And we're not stopping for Christmas either.
No, we don't have a break, Dave. We go hard or we go home. And this is us, Dave. This is us. Following Irish football over the festive period. Hopefully, lads are going to be banging in the goals. Goalkeepers are going to keep clean sheets. Defenders are going to be battle-hardened and ready for March. And that's it. You know, still worried about my midfield, but, you know, Boaston's back. So I'm hoping Cousin Will get in there as well. So, and just trust in Callum O'Dowda.
He's injured at the moment. Anyway.
Okay, well, he'll be back as well.
We're going to leave it there. Thank you so much, guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's at Lansdowne Road. Tell your friends. Please share this video out. We really do appreciate it. Please do like the video as well. We're trying to grow the channel. We're trying to grow the pod. We want more stuff like this next year and going forward. Anyway, we're going to leave it there. I'm David Dunn. He is Martin Prendergast. This has been Lansdowne Legends. We're Lansdowne Noir. Good night.